Welcome to a space of quiet reflection and deep understanding. Today we are going to explore the beautiful, complex, and sometimes overwhelming inner world of the INFJ. In the realm of human personality, the INFJ stands as one of the rarest and most profoundly deeply feeling types. If you are an INFJ, or if you love one, you already know that these individuals are deeply intuitive, relentlessly empathetic, and profoundly thoughtful. They do not merely walk through the world, they absorb it. They care deeply about others, constantly measuring how their actions ripple out and affect the emotional landscape of those around them. Because of this beautifully sensitive and reflective nature, they carry a specific burden. They tend to carry the weight of regret far more heavily than the average person. For the INFJ, regret is not just a passing shadow. It can feel like a heavy, tailored overcoat that they simply cannot take off, especially if they feel they have let someone down, caused unintended pain, or missed a fleeting opportunity to bring meaning into a situation. INFJs are anchored by incredibly strong internal values. They possess a burning desire to live with absolute purpose and to always do what they believe is fundamentally right. So, when they inevitably fall short of their own sky-high standards, it does not just sting, it cuts straight to their core. They do not simply acknowledge a mistake and move on. Instead, their mind becomes an echoing theater. They replay the event over and over again, analyzing every word spoken, every micro-expression, and every subtle shift in tone. They ask themselves relentlessly what they could have done better, how they could have been kinder or wiser or more patient. And sometimes, these echoing thoughts stay with them for years, hiding in the quiet corners of their minds. Unlike some other personalities who can simply brush off a social misstep or a wrong turn, the INFJ analyzes the very dust left behind by the mistake. This intense cognitive loop makes it incredibly difficult to forgive themselves and move forward, even when the issue was incredibly small. Yet, despite this heavy emotional burden, INFJs possess a superpower. They are absolute masters of personal growth. They possess a rare and striking level of self-awareness, and they are perpetually seeking ways to heal, to evolve, and to improve the architecture of their own souls. This means they are completely capable of learning how to handle regret in much healthier, more sustainable ways. They can learn to step back and recognize the dark patterns in their own overthinking. They can take deliberate action to rewire their habits and slowly shift their profound energy away from past mistakes and toward creating a beautiful, meaningful present. Today, we are going to walk through a deeply transformative journey. We will explore how INFJs can learn to live with far fewer regrets. We will uncover practical habits, profound mindset shifts, and gentle practices that allow them to move forward with a quiet, unshakable peace of mind. These are not superficial quick fixes. We are talking about deep, resonant changes that create a lasting difference in the way an INFJ experiences the world. Each of these strategies connects intimately to how the INFJ naturally thinks, breathes, and feels. By the end of our time together, you will possess a profound understanding of how to harness innate strengths like empathy, piercing insight, and a drive for purpose to live more fully and to regret far less. Let us begin with the first vital shift, embracing mindfulness and the art of present living. One of the primary reasons INFJs struggle so deeply with regret is simply because they live as tenants in their own heads. Their minds are magnificent but exhausting places. They are perpetually busy, always thinking, reflecting, remembering, and projecting. This habit of chronic overthinking can act like a magnifying glass, turning a tiny, harmless mistake into a massive, catastrophic failure. To break free from this painful anchor to the past, many INFJs find their ultimate refuge in mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is a word we hear often, but for the INFJ, it is literally a lifeline. It means paying gentle, focused attention to the exact present moment without any judgment whatsoever. It sounds incredibly simple, but for a mind that is constantly time traveling to the past to fix mistakes or rushing to the future to prevent disasters, this practice is revolutionary. It gently pulls their focus away from the unchangeable yesterdays and the unpredictable tomorrows, grounding them firmly in the here and now. One of the most beautiful ways INFJs anchor themselves in the present is through the quiet, sacred act of journaling. The physical act of putting pen to paper acts as a release valve for a pressurized mind. It allows them to process heavy, complex emotions in a safe, tangible way, rather than letting those feelings bounce around endlessly inside their heads. As the ink flows, INFJs begin to see the architecture of their own anxiety. They spot the familiar patterns. They begin to truly understand the root of their feelings. Journaling provides a safe, quiet funeral for thoughts that no longer serve them. Alongside writing, the practice of meditation is a profound sanctuary. We are not talking about hours on a mountaintop. Even just 5 to 10 quiet minutes a day can alter the landscape of an INFJ's brain. INFJs feel an immense, crushing pressure to execute life flawlessly. Meditation acts as a gentle pause button on that expectation of perfection. It teaches them a crucial skill: how to sit quietly and simply watch their thoughts pass by like clouds rather than letting those thoughts pick them up and carry them away into a storm. Over time, they master the art of calming their turbulent inner seas, approaching their daily lives with a sense of graceful ease. And we must not forget the unparalleled healing power of the natural world. For the incredibly absorbent INFJ, nature is the ultimate reset button. Stepping outside into a quiet, organic environment allows them to shed the heavy emotional frequencies they pick up from society. Whether it is a slow walk under a canopy of ancient trees, sitting silently by the rhythmic edge of the ocean, or simply pausing to witness the quiet dignity of a sunset, these raw moments allow their nervous system to recalibrate. Nature does not demand perfection. A tree is not trying to be anything other than a tree. This silent truth reminds the INFJ of what genuinely matters. Practicing mindfulness in these ways does not mean the INFJ stops caring. It simply creates a protective buffer of space between who they are and the chaotic thoughts they experience. That space is where freedom lives. Our second vital shift is learning the beautiful, protective art of setting healthy boundaries. Let us be honest, INFJs are naturally incredibly giving, deeply caring human beings. They have a profound instinct to alleviate the suffering of others, constantly placing the needs, comfort, and happiness of everyone else far above their own. While this is an objectively beautiful trait, it is also a direct recipe for profound exhaustion, burnout, and ultimately, a deep sense of regret. When an INFJ gives away every drop of their emotional energy without ever refilling their own cup, they eventually hit a wall. They look back at their week, their month, or their year, and they feel utterly drained, entirely used, and quietly furious at themselves for letting it happen again. This is exactly why constructing and maintaining healthy boundaries is not optional for an INFJ. It is a matter of emotional survival. A boundary is simply a clear, loving line drawn in the sand that protects your sacred time, your limited energy, and your delicate emotional well-being. But for the INFJ, speaking that boundary out loud feels like walking barefoot over broken glass. They are terrified that saying the word no will shatter a relationship, inflict pain on someone they care about, or spark a terrible conflict. But the hard, beautiful truth is that healthy boundaries actually construct stronger, deeper, and far more respectful relationships. When an INFJ fails to set a limit, they inevitably drown in obligations. They agree to lend their energy to a friend's crisis when they themselves are running on empty. They say yes out of a heavy sense of guilt rather than a genuine desire to participate. Slowly, like rust on iron, resentment builds. They bitterly regret the yes when their soul was screaming no. To escape this cycle of people-pleasing and subsequent regret, the INFJ must learn the art of the sacred pause. Before uttering a single word of agreement to any request, they must train themselves to stop, take a breath, and look inward. They must ask themselves gently, do I actually have the energetic capacity for this right now? Am I agreeing to this because it aligns with my heart, or am I agreeing because I am afraid of disappointing them? These tiny, invisible moments of self-inquiry change the entire trajectory of their lives. Learning to say no is a monumental victory. Saying no does not make you cold, selfish, or cruel. It makes you deeply, bravely honest. Most INFJs are shocked to discover that when they begin to communicate their limits with quiet, firm grace, the people around them actually respect them more. And those who become angry at the boundary are usually the ones who were benefiting from the lack of it. This brings us to the third incredibly profound tactic: accepting your own beautiful imperfection and actively releasing the poison of unearned guilt. Perhaps the most difficult pill for any INFJ to swallow is the absolute reality that they are fundamentally flawed, perfectly imperfect human beings. They hold themselves to an invisible standard of moral and emotional perfection. They desperately want to walk through life doing everything the right way, saying the perfect, healing words at the perfect time, and being an unbreakable pillar of strength for everyone they encounter. But the universe is chaotic, and when life inevitably goes off script, the INFJ is immediately flooded with a toxic tide of guilt. Even the smallest, most insignificant missteps can haunt their quiet moments for years to come. This agonizing guilt stems directly from their incredibly pure desire to be a source of absolute good in a difficult world. Because the INFJ cares so intensely, when an interaction goes sour or a project fails, their immediate default setting is to absorb the blame entirely. They look in the mirror and ask, could I have somehow done more to save the situation? Was that entirely my fault? Even if logic dictates that they were not to blame, the emotional gravity they take on is crushing. This is why learning the radical art of self-forgiveness is paramount. Embracing imperfection does not mean the INFJ lowers their standards or stops caring. It means deeply understanding that making mistakes is the price of admission to the human experience. It means realizing that you can be a good, kind, valuable person even when you mess up. A powerful way to heal this is to reframe the narrative. Instead of punishing themselves with the thought, I failed, they must learn to ask with gentle curiosity, what beautiful lesson did this moment teach me? The fourth guiding star for the INFJ is learning to deeply, radically trust their own intuition. INFJs are famously equipped with a profound, almost mystical gut instinct. Their intuition acts as a highly sensitive internal radar. It allows them to instantly read the hidden emotions of others, instantly recognize invisible patterns that everyone else misses, and sense the right path forward without needing logical evidence. Yet, tragically, many INFJs spend their lives fighting against this incredible gift. They second-guess their absolute knowing. When their inner compass points in a direction that seems to defy logic, or when society demands concrete proof for their feelings, the INFJ often caves to self-doubt. They ignore the quiet, persistent voice of their intuition and follow a safer, more conventional path, and almost always, years later, they are struck with the bitter pang of regret, whispering to themselves, I knew it, I felt it in my bones, I should have listened to myself. The path to peace requires the INFJ to rebuild their relationship with this inner voice. Trusting intuition is not about being reckless or impulsive. It is about honoring the fact that your subconscious mind has spent a lifetime gathering emotional data, reading micro-expressions, and understanding the deep truths of human nature. Your gut feeling is not magic. It is highly advanced, rapid emotional processing. To cultivate this trust, the INFJ must aggressively carve out spaces of absolute silence in their life. Intuition does not shout over the noise of a crowded room or the endless scroll of a smartphone. It speaks in a quiet, gentle whisper that can only be heard in moments of profound stillness. By actively honoring this voice, the INFJ aligns their life with their absolute truth. They stop making choices based on what makes sense on paper and start making choices that make sense to their soul. Finally, the INFJ must fiercely engage in the pursuit of purpose and allow themselves the vulnerability of seeking genuine connection. The INFJ soul is allergic to the superficial. They do not want to simply exist, punch a clock, and fade away. They require profound meaning. When an INFJ spends their days pouring their immense energy into activities, jobs, or relationships that feel hollow, regret slowly poisons their spirit. But when they align their daily actions with their deepest values, whether that is through quiet creative expression, healing others, or simply curating a deeply peaceful, loving home, they become truly luminous. Furthermore, though they are highly independent introverts, they must fight the urge to completely isolate when times grow dark. Reaching out to a trusted soul, stepping into the light of vulnerability, and allowing themselves to be fully seen and understood by another human being is the ultimate antidote to the cold isolation of regret. By embracing presence, drawing fierce boundaries, forgiving their human flaws, Honoring their inner compass and choosing profound meaning, the INFJ transforms their heavy burden of regret into a life of beautiful, intentional, and quiet majesty.